with One Gen Group from Executive MBA program of IPMI Business School Jakarta. I'm Eki with my colleague here,
Odi,
Henry Wirawan,
and Munachi.
Yes, we are from the class of Global Economy and International Business, lectured by our dearest Professor Roy Sembel and Dr. Yulita Susanti. On this occasion, we will deliver two book reviews by Professor Joseph E. Stiglitz. The first book, entitled Globalization and Discontents, Revisited. So without further ado, let's start the first book review from us. Globalization and Discontent is a book by a Nobel Prize winning economist, Professor Joseph E. Stiglitz, which was originally published in 2002. The book presents a critical examination of the consequences of globalization and the policies advocated by international financial institutions. In this case, particularly the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, and the World Bank. Joseph Stiglitz, drawing from his personal experiences as the former chief economist of the World Bank and a member of the Council of Economic Advisors under the Clinton administration, provides a thought-provoking analysis of globalization and its impact on both developed and developing nations. Next will be delivered by my colleague, Pak Naji. Please, Pak Naji.
Thank you, Pak Eci. So in this part, we will discuss about the introduction of the book. A general understanding of what introduction to book of this nature mainly typical that cover about first one and context and the backgrounds. The introduction likely begins by placing the book in this context of the time it was written, providing background information on the state of the global economy, the process of globalization, and the roles of international financial institutions like IMF and also World Bank. Second, about the promise of globalization. Stiglitz may discuss the initial promises and expectations associated with globalization, such as increased economic growth, poverty reduction, improved living standard for the people around the world. Third, challenges in this context. The introduction may introduce the central thesis of the book, which is the actual outcomes of globalization have often fallen short of these promises. Stiglitz may touch upon the challenges and problems that have emerged, including economic inequality, financial crisis, and social unrest. Four, the role of international financial institutions. Stiglitz also briefly outlined the role of international financial institutions like IMF and also World Bank, shaping the global economic policies, and expressed his intention to examine their impact on countries' economic and social well-being. 5. The author of perspective. The introduction may also provide insight into author background and perspective. In this case, Stiglitz' own experiences as a former chief economist of the World Bank, as a member of the Council of Economic Advisory, may be discussed to highlight his qualification to critique and propose alternative to existing economic policies. Last, structure of the book. The introduction typically outlines the structure of the book and previews what readers can expect in terms of the topics, argument, and evidence presented in the subsequent chapter. And next chapter will present by our colleagues, Pak Hendy. Please, Pak Hendy.
Thank you, Pak Naji. The main thought of the book. Number one is critique of IMF policy. Stiglitz criticized the IMF one-size-fits-all approach to the economic crisis and argues that their policy often exacerbate problems in developing countries. He suggests that the IMF needs to be more flexible and consider the unique circumstances of each nation. Number two is income in equality. Stiglitz discussed how globalization has contributed to income, or I can say that the different income both within between the country. He highlighted the negative impacts of the globalization on the income living standards on, of the poor and the middle class. And the third is the flaw in market fundamentalists. Stiglitz challenged the notion of the unfettered of the free markets, arguing that the market fundamentalists can lead to the economic instability and social inequality. He advocates for more balanced role of the government in regulating markets and addressing market failure. The number 4 is the role of the institution. Stiglitz emphasized the importance of strong and accountable institution in managing globalization challenge. He argues that the effective governance is crucial mitigating the negative effects of globalization and ensuring fair economic outcome. The number 5 is the lesson of the future. Stiglitz offers suggestions to reforming global economic governance to make it more equitable and inclusive. He discussed the needs of a new global financial architecture that prioritizes economic stability, poverty reduction, and environmentally sustainability. Next will be Mr. Odi.
Thank you, Andy. So we will continue with the several analyses about the book. The first one, critique of globalization. Stiglitz provides a well-reasoned critique of globalization, challenging the idea that invariably leads to positive outcomes for all. He argues that globalization, as it has been practiced, often exacerbates economic inequality and fails to deliver on its promises of widespread prosperity. The second one is policy evaluation. Stiglitz offers a detailed evaluation of the economic policies prescribed by institutions like the IMF and the World Bank. Stiglitz highlights how these policies, which prioritize fiscal and monetary stability, can sometimes undermine social and economic development, especially in developing countries. The third one is inequality and injustice. Stiglitz analysis underscores the growing inequality within and between nations as a result of globalization. He contends that the policies promoted by international financial institutions can lead to social injustice and political instability. The fourth one, democratic deficit. The book draws attention to the lack of democratic and accountability in global economic governance. Stiglitz argues that international institutions often make decisions without sufficient input or transparency, leading to policies that might not align with the needs and preferences of affected nations and people. The fifth one, financial crisis. Stiglitz discusses that the role of financial market liberalization and deregulation in contributing to the financial crisis. He provides a critical assessment of how these policies can lead to economic instability and disruption. The sixth one, reform proposal. This book doesn't just criticize but also offer concrete proposal for reform. Stiglitz advocates for more inclusive and social responsible policies, emphasizing the need for a broader range of economic indicators that account for social and environmental well-being. We continue for the several evaluation about this book. The first one is credibility. Stiglitz' background as a Nobel laureate in economic and his previous roles at institutions like the World Bank and the Council of Economic Advisors lend credibility to his agreement. His experiences give weight to his critique of the economic policies and institutions he discusses. The second one, accessible language. Stiglitz presents complex economic concepts in a language that is accessible to a broad audience. This makes the book valuable not only for experts, but also for general public interested in understanding the impact of globalization on our world. The third one, continued relevance. This book's relevance endures at the issues it addresses: globalization, economic inequality, and the role of international financial institutions remain important topic in today's world. The fourth one, criticism. While the book is widely acclaimed, it is not without its critics. Some argue that Stiglitz's views are too one-sided and that globalization has also brought significant benefits, especially in reduction of poverty and increasing economic growth in many parts of the world. And the fifth one, globalization and its discontent, is a thought-provoking and influential book that challenges conventional economic wisdom. Stiglitz's analysis and proposal for reform continue to inform discussion on globalization and economic policy. Its impact and relevance make it a significant contribution to the field of international economic and development studies. Next chapter will be delivered by my colleague Pak Eki.
Thank you, Bodi. So we come to the conclusion of the first book review. So the first one is the reiteration of main themes. Conclusion reinstates the book's central themes, which include the adverse effects of globalization, the drawbacks of certain economic policies, and the need for reform. Number two, the critique of the current approaches. Stiglitz reiterates his criticism of the policies advocated by international financial institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, emphasizing on their shortcomings and unintended consequences. And the third, Stiglitz call for reform in the global economic governance. So he suggests that specific policy changes or specific principles changes needs to be done to lead to a more equitable and inclusive approach to globalization. And the fourth, the importance of democracy is highlighted by Professor Stiglitz, especially on the importance of democratic decision making in shaping economic policies on a global scale. Professor Stiglitz argued that policies should be more accountable and transparent, and therefore it will be more responsive to the needs of the people in both developed and developing countries. And the fifth being a reflection on the future. The book offers reflections on the future of globalization and the international economic relations. It discusses the potential directions that global economic governance could take and the challenges and the opportunities ahead. The last, the influence of the book. Professor Stiglitz acknowledged the impact and the reception of the book since its publication and how it has contributed to discussions and debates in the fields of economics, development, and globalization. So we have come to an end of the first book review, and we will continue to the second book review. Still with us, one GAN group from IPMI Executive MBA program of IPMI Business School Jakarta with me, Eki Kurniawan, my colleague,
Myself, Odi Medrian.
Myself, Yulita.
last one, my name is Munaji.
Yes, thank you, Pak Naji. We are all the students of the Global Economy and International Business class, lectured by Professor Roy Sembel and Dr. Yulita Susanti. So, on the second book review, we will be discussing on the second book by Professor Joseph Stiglitz. This book is the follow-up on the previous book entitled Making Globalization Work. Please, Pak Audi.
Thank you, Pak Eki. On the book of Making Globalization Work, Joseph Stiglitz explored the complexities of globalization, its challenges, and its potential benefit. He emphasized the role of international institutions and provided recommendations for a more inclusive and sustainable globalization. Through insightful case studies, Stiglitz highlights successful effort to address the pitfall of the globalization. Ultimately, this book serves as a guide for policymakers and individuals striving for a fair and prosperous global economy. Globalization is not a recent phenomenon. It has been shaping the world for centuries as societies, cultures, and economics has become interconnected. The advancement in technology and transportation have accelerated the process, allowing for the unprecedented flow of goods, services, and ideas across borders. However, globalization is not without its challenges and complexities. Next chapter will be delivered by my colleague Pak Naji.
Thank you, Pak Eki. So actually, we face some of the globalization challenges. The first one is about income inequality. Globalization has exacerbated income inequality both within and between countries. The benefits of globalization have not been evenly distributed, leading to widening wealth disparities and social unrest. Second one is about environmental impact. Globalization has placed enormous pressure on the environment, including deforestation, pollution, and climate change. It is crucial to address these environmental challenges to ensure sustainability in the future. And the third one about cultural homogenization. Globalization has led to the dominance of certain cultures and erosion of indigenous tradition. It is important to preserve cultural diversity and promote cultural exchange. And also, we will discuss about the benefit of globalization. This is the fourth one. The first one is increased trade. The expansion of the trade has allowed countries to specialize in industries where they have a comparative advantage, leading to efficiency gains and increased economic growth. Second one is about cultural exchange. Globalization has facilitated in the exchange of the ideas, art, and culture, and promoting mutual understanding and fostering a sense of the global interconnectedness. Third one about technological advancement. Globalization has facilitated the transfer of knowledge, technology, and innovation across borders, driving advancement in various sectors and improving living standard. And the last one about reducing poverty. Globalization, when managed effectively, has the potential to lift millions out of poverty by creating new opportunities for employment, education, and economic development. And next, my colleague Pak Eki will deliver another information.
Thank you, Pak Naji. So we will move to the role of international institutions. There are three institutions that Professor Stiglitz highlighted in this book. The first one being the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, which plays a crucial role in stabilizing global financial markets and providing financial support to countries in need, so in ensuring stability and preventing crisis. The second institution is the World Bank, which provides financial and technical assistance to developing countries supporting their efforts to reduce poverty, improve infrastructure condition, and to promote sustainable development. And the last or the third institution being the WTO, or the World Trade Organization, which facilitates international trade negotiations, resolves trade disputes, and promotes fair and open trade practices, therefore benefiting economies around the world. The book makes several recommendations for globalizations to work, the first being inclusive policies. The government and international organizations should adopt policies that promote inclusivity, ensuring that the benefits of globalizations are shared by all, particularly the marginalized and less developed regions. The second, the importance of social safety nets, which is efficient social safety nets should be established to mitigate the adverse effects of globalizations, providing support and resources to individuals and communities who are affected by the economic disruptions. And the third one is sustainable development. Embracing sustainable practices in all aspects of globalizations can help alleviate environmental degradation, promote long-term economic growth, and ensure a better future for generations to come. And the next will be delivered by my colleague Pak Hendy. Please, Pak Hendy.
Okay, thank you, Mikey. In here we learn about the case study, the successful globalization. The first one is the fair trade coffee. The fair trade movement has successfully empowered small-scale coffee farmers by guaranteeing fair prices and enabling them to access global market and promoting environmentally sustainability practice. The second one is solar energy expansion. The global expansion of solar energy has not only reduced the greenhouse gas emission but has also created job opportunities contributing to the economic growth and sustainable future. Now we come to the conclusion and the final thoughts. Globalization has potential to create more interconnected and prosperous world. However, to make the globalization work, we must address its challenge and ensure that its benefits are shared by all. By implementing inclusive policy, strengthening the international institution, and embracing the sustainable practice, we can shape globalization that leaves no one behind and foster more equitable and sustainable future.
Yes. So everyone, we have come to the end of our second book reviews, and again, this is Group 1 Gen from Executive MBA program of IPMI Business School Jakarta, lectured by Professor Roy Sembel and Dr.
Yulita Susanti.
I'm Eki Kurniawan.
I'm Odi Medrian.
I'm Henry Muhammad.
And I'm Munaji.
And we'll see you on our next book review.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.